I'm Elaine Phillips, and I'm originally from Ottawa, and I bought a place in Victoria, British Columbia, and I came to India in 1996 originally, traveled around, and I knew when I came back, which was in 2000, I didn't want to stay in Chennai, and I was just about ready to land. So I saw this woman on the flight, and she was German, and we were in the queue waiting for the bathroom, and I asked her if she was planning to stay in Chennai, and she said she's coming to Auroville. She didn't speak much English, I speak no German, so I said, share a cab. And so, because I didn't want to stay in Chennai, I had no idea what Auroville was. I took the cab in, and as you know, 17 years ago we didn't have tar roads, and we had the big ambassadors, and we're driving in and driving in and driving in, and I was wondering, where is this Auroville? And we finally arrived, and it was just near the end of the monsoon. It was very lush, and it was beautiful. And we arrived at the Center Guest House, and of course I didn't have any reservation. She had a reservation, and the taxi was waiting for her at the airport, so it worked out very well. They made a room available for me by cleaning out the attic, and I stayed in the Center Guest House for 4 days. And my first impression of Auroville was it was weird. Okay, I knew nothing. I saw photos of this old lady and this old man, and people were calling her the mother, and Sri Aurobindo, and I didn't know anything. So it was very strange for me. I ended up, I saw this Maitre Mandir, and I thought, what is this? Like, at that time we thought it was like a gold golf ball. So it was still under construction. They were applying the discs. And I had to get out from the Center Guest House. It wasn't my type of place. I liked freedom, and I like to eat when I want to eat. I don't want to eat when, because everything's included in the price there. And I had managed to get a motorbike, and I met somebody who came to the Center Guest House to return a bicycle, and she was living in Gokulam, which is a community right on the water. Auroville community, and Ramalingam and his wife Shakila, who are Aurovillians, were running the guest house, and I shifted to the house on the beach. And one of the things I became aware of in the 4 days that I was in the center was beautiful, beautiful things are made here by the commercial units, very high end, very good quality. And being a businesswoman, I thought I would do an import-export of the products back to Canada and set up a wholesaling distributing company. And it never happened. I just kept coming back. I took a place in the village that I kept for a number of years, and I lived in the village, but I was working in Auroville. I worked for the Auroville Archives, I worked for Auroville Village Action. I took a lot of seminars and courses and workshops, like Bhavana from Vedite had offered a 3-month course in the high season every Thursday afternoon on Auroville, the villages, and human unity. So I got to understand certain things about Auroville and the village because I lived in the village. And I also took a number of seminars that were offered by Inside India. Monday would be, for example, the economy every Monday. And then on Tuesday it would be city planning, or architecture and planning. And Wednesday would be the economy. And so I went to one of those every day. And so I was informing myself in a way that I wasn't conscious about Auroville. Over time, I ended up, I had a skating team in the village. I have 7 children, a rollerblading team, hockey team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now the children are in their 20s. And but they were my, they were like my extended family, and they still are. I still see them, and they're now all in university, amazingly. And we used to skate on the tar road from the bakery all the way to the highway. So we'd go through the village, through Edi and Chavity, right to the highway, and then we'd skate back.
Okay.
And that's where I met Prima.
Oh.
And this would have been in 2009. And Prima had pulled over and asked me if I would be interested in teaching the Auroville children skating, rollerblading after hours from their school. And I agreed, and as a result we became friends.
Yes.
And it was one evening I was out with Prima, and she said to me, "Elaine, what do you mean you're not an Aurovillian? Of course you're an Aurovillian." And I could not turn off the light. It was like a light went on.
Yes.
And it was very, 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 very powerful, very strange. And I remember I couldn't get the thought up, am I an Aurovillian? Very interesting. I believe I am an Aurovillian. I believe this is my place. And I met with her a second time, shortly after that. And I said, "Prima, I can't get out of my mind what you had said to me." And I said, I think I am. I think I'm ready to join after 10 years of coming and going. But I need a house. I do not want to be house sitting all over Auroville. I need a base. I've always had a base since I've been 20. I've always owned my own home. She said, "No problem." And then this was Jean-Francois, who has two shops in Chennai, wasn't actually living here. He was living in Chennai because he has a naturally Auroville shops of products from Auroville Goa, and he sells them in Chennai. So I met with Jean-Francois, and then he said, "Yes, I transfer the house to you. You can buy it."
Mm-hmm.
I went back to Canada. This was in 2008, 2009, when there was a financial crisis, and I was having a place built in Victoria, and I managed to sell the contract, and I sold all my things. I came back to Auroville with a suitcase, 7 rollerblades, my jewelry, my kitchen knives because I like to cook, and a carpet. And that's all I brought back. I started everything new. I settled into the community of Ormeau and into Auroville as an Aurovillian, newcomer and
It's a beautiful
Aurovillian.
community here.
It is.
It's a model, huh?
Yeah.
It's a model for
It's supposed to be, yeah. Yeah. And Jacqueline Roger's partner is still living here. And there's only a small little cluster of houses in this design. I think there might be 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But Astor's was one of the first that was built. So so I didn't choose Auroville. Auroville chose me. I really firmly believe in that because I had a very nice lifestyle on the island, and it's difficult here. The weather is very harsh. The monsoons are very violent. We have cyclones. I've experienced a few cyclones. It's just difficult, and we have 50 different nationalities, so we have to work with these 50 different nationalities in the working groups, and sometimes when we have come from different points of references, we have people that have come from communist countries, we have people that have come from countries where there's war, and they've seen people bombed and shot, and then you have countries like Canada, where we have a very peaceful country and a beautiful country, and we're used to a lot of space. And this was a challenge for me. I like the work I'm currently doing, and I've done many different types of work. I've worked with Auroville Water Harvest. I did a study on the residential zone wastewater treatment with water engineers, because I'm by no means an engineer. And that was very fascinating. And that's the thing I love about Auroville, is that you can do anything here. If you have the goodwill and the desire, you can do whatever you want. And it's opened all kinds of doors for me. I mean, now I'm working, as you're aware, with journalists and reporters and filmmakers and TV crews that come here, and we facilitate their visit. And so I'm working with a very creative group of people that come to Auroville with ideas, and then to see what their ideas actually manifest to be, because sometimes they come here thinking, I want to do this, but this ends up being the final product.
Yes.
And then, of course, I'm now just joined the housing board, which the housing service members of the different groups are part of this board, and that's been a real eye-opener. But you know, for the 10 years I was outside, I'm very grateful for the experience I had, because I have relationships with the local people in the village that is very rich for me, because these children and their parents, I mean, I'm invited to many of the functions, and I feel like it definitely has enriched my life, because I feel privileged, because many of the people that come here now, because it's so beautiful here, not like it was at the beginning. I mean, at the beginning, those were real pioneers, huh? What they created for us is amazing, and I see now that people come here and they're disconnected with the villages. The relationship they have with the local people are either in their working relationship, if they happen to have somebody from one of the villages working with them who's Aurovillian or not, or their Emmas, the people that clean, or their gardeners. And that is now the type of relationship where at the very beginning, the relationship they had with the local people, they were giving and taking. They needed each other. The pioneers and the Tamils needed each other, because this place was barren. The people here were poor. They were a lot of them were illiterate and malnutritioned and without water, not
trees.
easy access, no trees, no shade. So it's changed. You know, there's been a big change, and I'm really, really grateful, because I do see, like, Lata, one of my first students, skating students, turned 20, and I took her to the Himalayas in May last year for her birthday. And I flew her, and we went to Gangotri, which is where the mouth of the Ganga is, you know, opens up, and it's the beginning of it. So I took her there, and Rishikesh, and we did whitewater rafting. So they're still very, very much in my life. And I've had discussions with some of the old-timers, and about my belief is that the true Aurovillians, I mean, we can be an Aurovillian in our heart wherever we are, but I feel that the true Aurovillians are the first and maybe second generation of children that were born in Auroville. Because their point of reference isn't Canada. Their point of reference isn't France. It's Auroville. And, you know, I see the young people that were born here. For example, the guy who did the renovation on my house, who his name is Elaine, and a number of them, I see them having conversations in Tamil with the Tamil people. And that's really nice, because they grew up with them. And there's a member of my sort of breakfast club that I go to Portus in the morning and have breakfast, and again, some younger, I'd say younger, in their 30s, and mid to late 30s, and they speak Tamil.
Oh, yes.
You know, I don't speak Tamil. I wish I have tried. I've taken courses, and I've gone to some programs, but it's difficult. You know, when you're, for me anyways, languages are not easy for me. But when you're a little child and you grow up with little Tamil children, you pick up the language. You don't have these barriers, you know. And so, yeah. I don't know whether I'll stay for, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And at the moment, what would you say that would be the next step for Auroville for the next 50 years? Or
Youth.
youth?
The youth. We need to bring more young people. We need to accept more young people, or help them, because it is becoming very, very expensive. In Auroville, the houses are, you know, you can't get anything. You have studios going for 20 lakh, and it's not expensive to, I mean, it's expensive to live, just live day to day, especially if you have to give a contribution, or if you don't have an income of any kind because you don't have a commercial unit, and you're relying on a maintenance or your savings. And I've seen it over and over again where young people have come, young meaning 30s, and they go through their savings, and then they realize, I can't afford to buy a place that's 20 lakh for a studio. And then if you're in your, let's say, 20s, where do you get $50,000 or $45,000 to buy a place? And it's not yours, so you're not going to build equity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you can leave and then sell it and know that you're okay. Or if you want to have a family, then you're going to be looking at another place that you have to shift to. And so housing is a big obstacle. Income is a big obstacle. Many of the young people leave and work abroad because they can't work here in India. As an Aurovillian, you can't really have work outside. So we have to look at a different way to attract the youth, and it's happening. We have some housing projects for youth, for the young people that we're trying to fast track and make it affordable.
So, what happens when someone buys a house? He has the money to buy a house, as you are in this kind of work. What happens then? The house does not belong to them? No, belong to.
It belongs to the foundation, the Auroville Foundation.
Okay.
So, for example, when I leave, what I have paid for this house, and any renovations, whatever, anything I've put into this house goes back to the foundation, and I leave with nothing. It's it's considered a donation to Auroville. And we have there's a house just not very far from here, and it's going for 65 lakh. That would be about $140,000. Yes.
Oh.
Now, who has that kind of money for a donation?
Yes.
And I'm prepared that if I decide in 4 or 5 years that I don't like how it's unfolding, or in how I would like to see it, I can leave Auroville for 5 years and still remain on the master list, which means this asset I'm still the steward of. If I'm gone for more than 5 years, I am removed from the master list, and the asset goes back to the housing service, and it gets posted, and then it gets put back for someone to buy. And the prices increase.
Yes.
And the cost of labor is very, very high now. So the cost of constructing a place is very expensive.
So how the young people, the youth, how can they manage that if they don't have money from their parents?
Exactly.
It's only the old people who say, okay, let's sell my house, and then I will have a house for my retreat.
And that is happening in Auroville.
Yes.
People are coming here, and there are situations in here, even in Auroville, where houses sit empty for 10 months of the year, and they come for 2 months of the year.
Oh.
And that's one of the reasons I'm on the housing board.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's here. I see it I've seen it every day, and I've seen it every summer. The place goes, everybody vacates, and there are times, there have been, over the 7 years I've been here, I'm generally the only person here in the summer. The whole place is empty.
Oh.
All the houses are empty. And in some cases, there's been a studio that's been empty for 5 years. When I go away, when I had to go back this summer, I was gone for the 3.5 months, I just put a house sitter in here. I find a house sitter who's willing to just pay for the water, pay for my Amma, pay for my gardener, but I don't charge rent. It's not a rental market, and it's not a real estate market, and it shouldn't be this way.
Okay.
As long as they maintain it, and I have a contract through Housing Service, and so they maintain it, and of course because I have dogs, but I want somebody in my house. These are the kinds of things that I struggle with.
Yes.
In Auroville, the fact that we do need youth. We don't need people that are retiring.
But they need less than what I have seen in the Sadhana forest. Is like they live like hippies, and they really enjoy.
But
this kind
that's not
of
for
life.
everyone.
But
$1,000 for this type of technology. We don't have any dormitories.
It's wonderful to have it. Like I said, they're working the earth, and they're working as a group of people. I think it's wonderful. But like I said, even if I was 20, I had my own house when I was 20 years old. So it just isn't my style at all.
Okay. Do you consider Auroville now as your home? Do you think that you will stay here forever? What is...
Forever is a long time, or it can be a short time. I mean, I don't know what forever is. I mean, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, or it could be another 25 years.
Yeah.
And what happens between today and that span of time, I have no idea. I never, ever in my life dreamed I would join Auroville. I mean, I was here 10 years, and then it took Prima to switch something on. So I can't say that definitely I'm here, because there are so many changes taking place around Auroville and within Auroville that I sometimes go inside and I question whether or not this is where I want to be. I believe in the charter. I believe in the dream, and I also believe that I'm here to make a difference and to develop something and create something that's nowhere else in the world. And do it in unity with people, not nationalities, people. And to do it as a collective.